All right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Wealth Mindset and Real Estate Investing virtual meetup. My name is Chris Price. I'm the host of the Wealth Mindset and Real Estate Investing Meetup. I'm also a managing partner at Boost Capital Group, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Red Fox Multifamily. Tonight, we are joined with an awesome guest, Mr. Lance Doty from Vodomi Capital. He's going to give us a rundown on Lead Sponsorship 101 in just a few minutes after we do a little brief introduction to our sponsors. So first and foremost, the Wealth Mindset and Real Estate Investing Meetup welcomes all individuals interested in building generational wealth through passive real estate investing and enhancing their financial intelligence. Our community is tailored for busy professionals and retirees from diverse industries. Members typically enjoy a comfortable income with discretionary funds for real estate investments, yet they lack the time, expertise, or network to execute at scale. I'm glad that you're joining us to cultivate a wealth mindset, learning strategies to build and preserve wealth while fostering an abundance mentality. Our discussions will delve into multifamily real estate investing and other proven methods to grow wealth through passive real estate investments. And we're sponsored by Red Fox Multifamily, who specializes in assisting professionals in the pharmaceutical and life science industries to diversify their portfolios, generate passive income, and enjoy the benefits of real estate investing without the need for active involvement. Our approach involves collaborating with passive investors to acquire commercial multifamily real estate, leveraging vetted opportunities sourced from our trusted network of operators in prime markets nationwide. By partnering with Red Fox Multifamily, investors can enjoy hands-off investments experience, allowing them to earn passive income and build equity and benefit from the tax advantages, all while investing in an asset-backed vehicle. And then finally, our sponsors, Boost Capital Group. We help busy professionals preserve and boost their capital through passive real estate investments. So thank you for that brief moment with the sponsors. Just in terms of logistics for tonight, if you could please mute your lines when you are not speaking. If you'd like to hold your questions to the end of the presentation, that's welcome unless you're invited to ask the questions along the way. This presentation is being recorded, as I mentioned before, and this material does not constitute an offer or solicitation to purchase securities. This is information only and should not be construed as business, financial, or legal advice. And then finally, before we jump in here, I love connecting with people. Please do reach out to me. If you're interested in talking with me, just learn a little bit more about what we do. I love to have conversations and just share strategies. So please reach out to me. Chris at Red Fox Multifamily or Chris at boostmycapital.com, and I'm glad to connect. And then finally here, just in terms of our agenda, we're going to go through a speaker introduction, and then speaker's going to talk a little bit about what's going on at Vodomi Capital, which I'll introduce in just a moment. We'll have some time for Q&A and some virtual networking, but without further, let me introduce Lance Doty here, and I gotta give a brief anecdote here, right? Because Lance, in fact, Lance and I, we're connected in multiple ways. One of the ways that we're part of a very successful mastermind community with a lot of other great real estate investors, and it was through that mastermind community where I had a chance to see Lance and his partner Adam Mitchell present and talk at one of the national conferences that we had on real estate investing out in Dallas, Texas, a couple years back. And we had an opportunity to connect and learn from one another, and we talked about maybe even potentially doing a deal together. Fast forward several months later, I got a text and a call from Adam and Lance about an opportunity that they were tackling and taking down in the Dallas area where they reside and are familiar with, and had a chance to take a look at it. It met all my investment criteria, and then lo and behold, I was able to jump on that bandwagon and partner up with these guys to work on a great asset, 152 units in the Dallas Fort Worth metroplex, which is just absolutely incredible. My first deal, so I, very grateful for both Lance and Adam and the Vodomi team. And at that point in time, the apartment buying guys, which I know we'll talk a little bit about this evening, but just so grateful for you, Lance. And just a little bit more about Lance before we dive in here. Vodomi Capital is a multifamily real estate investment firm. They are a team of dedicated professionals who are passionate about helping people and investors in particular to achieve their financial goals in real estate investments. Lance grew up in Garland, Texas, and attended Abilene Christian University. And after college, Lance moved back to the DFW area and ended up working in industrial sales. And it was, during that time that he met his now business partner through their industrial sales jobs. And the two of them became very close friends. And eventually they started up and founded the Home Buying Guys. And then Adam, as he was going on his journey and, learning and doing all the things, Adam taught Lance, everything that he knew about real estate investing, and the two together have successfully grown the Home Buying Guys and Apartment Buying Guys to what it is today. And so Lance is going to share a little bit about that story today, which I can't wait for everyone to hear and just learn about this incredible journey that they've been on and they're still on. Lance is married to his high school sweetheart, Rachel, and they now live in Gunter, Texas, with their two kids, Cam and Ava. And we're gonna shout out Lance's social media after this also. But if you want a great follow and you want to see some great athletes, some great dancers and cheerleaders and all the things that you would think about big time Texas, you want to follow Lance and his wife about what they're doing. It's incredible with the beautiful family that they're raising. So without further ado, let me turn it over to you, Lance, and tell us a little bit about your story.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Chris. I know we're having some audio visual lag. How is it right now? Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you okay right now. It is a little choppy, so if we need to come off of video, we can do that.
Yep, I'll come off. I'm a quick talker, so let me come off video so we don't miss anything. I've disabled my video. Is that good?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay, cool. Yeah. And to piggyback off of Chris's sweet introduction, it's partners like Chris and we've got many, that have made our journey possible. So, it started for me with a mentor and my best friend, Adam. From there, it started with a mentorship that Adam and I would pay for and look for and seek out through the Michael Blanc partnership, who put us with Arlene Garza of Reap Equity out of San Antonio. And then from there, Apartment Buying Guys turned into Vodomi Capital through bringing in a full-time partner in Nate Venz, who was running my multifamily investments by himself. And we just felt we could do more together, just like the spirit of syndication. So I come here today as 1/3 of Vodomi Capital and also Vodomi Construction. Maybe I'll tease that a little bit at the end, but I'm standing on the shoulders of many, many people that got me to this point. And as we were talking through what the topic would be today, I thought it would be super cool to just offer something I'm super passionate about right now. If you know me, you meet me for 1 second, you could see how I would be successful in sales. The personality's there. I love being around people and learning their story and really serving people, but you can see that personality. One thing I've evolved into, I think, is one heck of an owner operator, but also not in the sense that my journey's done. It's just what I've learned. What my journey will require of me in this current life season of bringing investors great returns, great deals. And so, it's something I'm passionate about because there are so much out there. If you're an aspiring investor, if you're an accredited investor, a sophisticated investor, if you've got experience, there's no shortage of syndicators out there. And so what really separates yourself, and I think right now what we're seeing in this financial landscape, I think the ones who can really operate a property despite challenges. We're not just waking up every morning to great news. We're waking up, we're putting our boxing gloves on, and we're fighting insurance rates. We're fighting interest rates. We're fighting occupancy. We're fighting theft. We're fighting all the things that can happen on a property. And Adam and I and Nate are so passionate about the job we're doing for our investors, but it's not easy. And so when Chris and I are putting together, like, what do you want to talk about? I was like, man, I want to talk about how hard this is right now, and not in a negative way. I think we're all given mountains we can climb, and we're climbing those mountains, and every now and then we're able to take a deep breath and look down and go, man, look how far we've come. Look what we're doing. We've hit some amazing milestones at all three of our active assets under management, and so I thought lead sponsorship would be something super cool to talk about. So I appreciate you giving me the opportunity, Chris. As I said all of that, did you hear everything okay, clear?
Yep. We got you loud and clear. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. So I decided to kind of, when I talk about lead sponsorship, it's a touchy subject because there's a lot of things. The three deals that we have under management, we've got 127 units. That was our first acquisition at Retreat at Lake Highlands. Our second acquisition was 88 units in Oklahoma City, and then our third was the one Chris mentioned earlier, 152 units in Dallas. It's actually across the street from my first, so I've got right around 315 units right there. Right across 270 something, right across the street from one another. So I'm in that property, in that scenario, the property that Chris and I are partners on, I'm also a competitor across the street to Chris because he's not in that deal, and so it's a very unique perspective. But we bought our first acquisition and closed on it in March of 2022. It was an amazing deal. It was an off-market deal. In Dallas, which is where I'm located. I'm boots on the ground in the Dallas-Fort Worth market, and because I'm boots on the ground in this market, it increases my chances to be a lead sponsor. And there's a lot of folks who are going to look at investing or look at partnering with groups who are very solid groups, but maybe they're in parts of the United States that it's not conducive to necessarily be a lead sponsor because they might be in Washington but the Washington state laws and business environment there and costs of real estate isn't as conducive to doing as much business as if they invested in Texas. And so just because I'm a lead sponsor, it doesn't put myself above any of the general partners, but it is a unique perspective because as a lead sponsor, and with the boots on the ground responsibility, there are a lot of things that I would love for every limited partner to know about, not only what my organization does, which I think separates us and will allow our investors to see success, but also just to help educate, limited partners in looking at deals. Okay, what should I expect from our boots on the ground team, right? And so we've been super blessed to be lead sponsors in every one of our deals. Every deal we have, we sought out the broker. We developed the broker relationship well over a period of time. We defined to the broker what exactly we were looking for. And then each of the properties, each acquisition was actually an off-market deal. Two of the three were on market at one point, but when it was brought to us, off market with a strike price, and the broker knew exactly what we were looking for. So I'm going to talk about lead sponsorship in two aspects of it. I'm going to talk about it before the deal, before closing, and I'm going to talk about it during the deal. And so, before the deal, like I mentioned with the, nurturing the relationship with the brokers, we had to know what we were looking for. We had to have a laser focus on exactly what type of opportunities we wanted brought to us. And I think this is a step a lot of people miss. I think a lot of times people say, well, I just want to get into multifamily. Send me your apartment deals. Well, okay. Do you want a 10 unit? Do you want a 100 unit? Do you want A, B, or C class? Do you want a cash flowing project out of the gate that may require a preferred equity or institutional backing? Or do you want a value add opportunity or a property that needs to have $2 to $3 million injected into it to create that value? As a company at Vodomi Capital, we are laser focused in what we want, and brokers know what we're looking for. And so it has heightened our chances to get opportunities that we're excited about and able to close on. So to give you what that definition is, we are looking for 100+ units. We're looking for B and C class properties, preferably B minus, C plus. We're looking for a heavy value add component. So we want the majority of the units to be classic or untouched, not remodeled in the last 10 years. The longer the better, really. And then we want the opportunities in 2 markets. We're looking in Dallas-Fort Worth Metro, and we're looking in Oklahoma City. And while there's a million other markets, there's a million other opportunities out there that don't fit that criteria. We've learned if we focus on what we think we can do very, very well, the brokers can associate us with opportunities, and we'll get exactly what we think can be the best bang for our buck in terms of not only implementing the business plan we're comfortable with, but also like knocking the socks off for our investors. So that's what we did right out of the gate. We defined exactly what we're looking for, and then we communicated that with the brokers. So the biggest thing I wrote down here, laser focus on what you're looking for and what your strength, and then from there, what your strengths are. And then the reason you want to identify what your strengths are as a group, right? Keep in mind, this is syndication. There's very few times where one group is taking down the whole thing. And I'll be very, very candid and transparent in letting you know, as a company, Vodomi Capital we're well on our way of accomplishing our goals, but we're not a finished product yet. We are not the greatest financial reporting company quite yet. We still rely on third-party management. But what we are really good at is construction, the value-add component. So we know what our strengths are. We know we're looking for that value-add component because we feel like nobody can manage a capital expenditure or a real estate construction project better than us. Our experience goes back 10+ years each in terms of our single-family business. Now we've got another 3 years experience in multifamily. We've implemented CapEx plans. We're turning 60 to 80 units a year at all 3 of our properties, all the while maintaining occupancy. We know we can do that well. Okay, great. Well, what type of partners do we need? And that's huge, to be very real with yourself, right? Are we good at financials? Sure. We know how to navigate that. We know how to get the investors the information. We know how to read financials, all of that. Is it something that gives us a ton of energy and makes us excited to get out of bed every day? Absolutely not. And so when we're looking for these syndication partners and folks to partner as a lead sponsor alongside us, we went and found the folks, and they sometimes they found us, but we partnered with the guys who offered that, right? And so in 2 of our 3 deals, we are partnered with Prime Investments, Mohit and Ashok out of the Los Angeles area. MI Real Estate, Reyes out of Florida is a partner on one of our deals. And these are guys that all offer a complementary tool set to what Adam and I can do. And every one of the partners, and we're just very young in our career, but every one of our partners, I'm confident, because they have verbalized this to us, would do another deal with us, because we've communicated and held up our end of the deal of what we're passionate and good at. And that's, 1, being boots on the ground, because we are in the markets that we're lead sponsors in. And then 2, really good at a CapEx plan. We're really good at managing that, getting costs down, creating value, raising rents over time, all the while maintaining occupancy. So before the deal, laser focus on what you're looking for, know what your strengths are, and know what type of partners you need. A lot of the folks that will reach out to us, they're very stuck in their syndication process. If they are trying to be a GP or even just looking to invest as an LP, they get stuck because they don't like doing the stuff they're not good at, right? Which we all are, right? We're all that way. I love talking to people. I love creating relationships. Don't tell me I need to stop. I need to like put a day aside and really dig into the financials or dig into the underwriting or dig into the SDA. I can get by. Our mentorship program walked me through all the tutorials of how to do all of that. I know I can read an SDA. I can read underwriting. All that's great. But if I can partner with someone who gets energy from doing that, gets positive vibes from doing that, then me and him can come together, because I'm getting positive vibes by having 10 or 15 meetings a day, or going to a networking event and meeting the guy that unlocks the capital on our next deal, or the broker that unlocks the pipeline of exactly what we're looking for our next asset. So know what your strengths are, and when you identify that, also know what type of partners you would like to have. From there, you close the deal, right? And now, and this is the funny story. Now we're talking lead sponsorship during the deal. You've closed on it. You've raised the capital. You haven't seen your family in 90 days. If it was anything like it was for me to get my first 3 deals. Chris is laughing because he's been there. You're on the East Coast, Chris. So you're up till midnight talking to California investors. Luckily I was only up till 11 o'clock talking to California investors. But you do what you got to do to raise the capital. You get the deal done. You get the insurance lined up. You get the lender to write the check. It's all good. Now you own the property. One of my favorite stories ever. One day, I hope to be successful enough where people will want to hear from my wife and what this journey has been for us. But I was in the same room I am now, and she walks in as our first week as owners. And I'm on the phone, and she can tell I'm on the phone with our actual leasing manager at the retreat at Lake Highlands. And she's like, she does a little wife thing, or she's like, put it on mute. I'm like, what do you need? And she's like, did you know you would actually be running an apartment complex? And I was like, I don't know that I really asked that question, but that's what we do now, honey. And so now
awesome.
that the deal's closed, I want to talk through what it looks like daily, weekly, and monthly. And this is the funnest part of real estate for Adam and I. I know Nate has seen us in action as we've combined forces, and he's like, wow, this is the real deal. In real estate, yes, we get to say cool things like we're real estate investors, we're full-time investors, all this. But what we are is problem solvers. And every day is a new problem. When now when the news comes on and it says there's a disturbance at this block and that block and this apartment complex, you're going to turn it up. You're not going to fast forward anymore. Is it my apartment complex? Oh, there was a fire. Stay tuned for more at 10. You're Googling what the address of the fire is. When storms hit, you don't even worried about the home you're in anymore. You're worried about the 152 units you've got right down the street and all of that. So every day in property ownership and lead sponsorship, especially when your boots on the ground, is you're waking up and solving problems. However, at every one of our properties, we have third-party management. We are not self-managing this. I want to make that clear. However, in this environment where occupancy, financial success is so important, the construction project is so important, you're managing your third-party manager as close as you would the actual property. You just have a liaison in between you and the actual tenants and the actual staff on site. And so the 3 components of lead sponsorship that we are managing daily, weekly, and monthly are: 1, the financials. How are we doing? What does it look like? What's our delinquency? What's our occupancy? Everything down to the other income. Is there ways we can, are people parking on site without being on a lease? How can we manage that to where we keep the safety and security of our tenants, but also make sure that our tenants can have their uncle stop by for a few days, right? All those things add into opportunities for other income. Okay, so one of the things we do, just to get very minute, but give you an example of what a lead sponsor deals with, is we found a way to charge $5 a day for you to park on our property. This way, if you park, you scan the QR code, you pay your $5 for 24 hours. This way, when the tow truck comes at night, it says, hey, they're not on the lease, but they paid their $5, right? If your tenant has a company truck, maybe he works for the cable company, he parks it every night, but he also has this very nice Chevrolet Silverado that he likes to drive on the weekends. Well, you can only have 1 car per lease per tenant. The second car costs $5 a day, 5 times 30, it's extra $150 a month. This tenant is now paying the property to keep their personal car and their work car on property. We've got to find those solutions. The second thing we're doing daily is the CapEx, right? We've got vendors. We've got 5 to 10 units per property, typically vacant in between tenants. So do we make the decision depending upon the occupancy of, do we do a full $6,600 renovation and add the quartz countertops, the new shaker cabinets, the stainless steel appliance package that will take the property offline for about 3 weeks? Do we have the vacancy to do that? If we do, great, because we want to inject that value into the property and thus raise rents by about $100 on average per unit. Now, however, if we get to creeping up around 12 to 13 units of vacancy, maybe we take like 4 of these and let's just clean them and turn them. Let's just clean them and turn them, because we got to stay around 92 to 94% occupied. And so these are decisions we're making daily. But typically, those are decisions that are discussed weekly through your property management call. So managing 3 properties, our team has Tuesday afternoons and Thursday afternoons set aside for these calls. But things happen in between then, right? Especially when you're boots on the ground. So the last thing, I've got financials, I've got the capital expenditure, the construction. Those are the 2 things we're worrying about every day, checking in weekly and reporting to our investors monthly. The third thing is the most important thing. If you're a sales guy or a guy like me, that's occupancy, right? You can have a million problems on your property, and I promise you, there's never a time where you won't have one. And Adam taught me these are good problems to have, because you only have this problem if you own the property. And so that's one of our ways of really putting a positive spin on some of the stuff we deal with. But the third thing is occupancy. Signing leases fixes all the problems. Signing leases puts income into the property. And with every lease, we can charge for laundry, we can charge for parking, we can charge amenity fees, we can charge for cable and internet. There's late fees, all the things that make a property look very good when it comes to the income. Leases fixes that problem. So we could have a tree fall down. Cool. We're going to pay that tree to get removed, and hopefully we sign a lease today. That is the name of the game, and it's tough, because if you are in certain markets like we are, Dallas is a top tier market, guys. It's a top 5 market no matter how you look at it. Oklahoma City is a secondary market, but they're both equally competitive. And so when we're looking at occupancy, it's not just saying how many leases did we sign and it's either thumbs up or thumbs down. We have to take it a step back from that. What does our traffic look like? Where's our traffic coming from? How, as owners, can we give our leasing agents more opportunities, more traffic? Does the website need to be optimized? Do we need to do some geofencing? What does the social media look like? Do we need to do some community events? So we're making sure we're tackling those renewals, so people aren't moving out and we're just spinning our wheels with 4 move outs and 4 move ins. That's a net zero. So there's a lot of things that go into the property, but if you can maintain occupancy, you can keep your financials healthy, you can increase value through keeping your property in great shape, you're going to have a successful property, and someone that manages that well and communicates that weekly to property management and then monthly back to its investors. That's a good lead sponsor. And so, I don't know that there's really a splash at the end of this presentation, Chris. I think it's just really cool in this day and age. We don't have, with interest rates, things are not penciling out probably worse than the last 20 years, right? Sure. Insurance is high, interest is high. Both of those things are deal killers from things we were underwriting in 2019, 2020, right. And because of that, there's no more dummy appreciation. There's guys that bought properties in 2015, 2016, 2017. They basically closed on the property, closed their eyes, went on vacation for 18 months. Then once it got in bad shape, they put it for sale and made their investors 40% on their money, right?
Oh yeah.
That's not happening anymore. We are fighting the good fight every day. And while, like I mentioned earlier, the positive spin on looking at your problems, you can say, I have to deal with this, or I get to deal with this, right? So, I would love to have full cycled 5 to 6 deals by now. I would have loved to have gotten this game in 2014, 2015 when it was easy, right? but we didn't. We got into it on the path that we're on from the good man upstairs. And here we are getting to learn this industry at the hardest time ever. And, Chris, the property you and I are partners on, we just passed the 91% mark as of yesterday of occupancy.
Right.
Just like all of our partners and investors know, we were doing so well 2 months into that property that we were raising rents. And then June hit, and it was like, where'd they all go? They all
Yeah.
moved out. They all quit paying rent. And in Dallas, inflation and all the things that adjusted the market from the 2022 increase, it all hit a year later in 2023. And
Yep.
we were sitting there with a property that we thought would never be below 90%. And here we are, I think in August, September, at 72% occupancy, and a lot of questions to ask, to answer to our general partners. And because every one of them had investors to answer to. And that's the reality of this business. It is not just a straight line to the top in returns always. But over the last 9 months, we came together as a GP team. We made some changes at property management. We gave some incentives to those on site. And here we are at 90, I think we're at 91.5%. And I just approved a bonus plan that if we sign 6 net leases, but in this month, they move in this month, we're going to give on-site management a $500 bonus, the leasing 500, and then maintenance, I think 250, because we'll officially be at 94%. But
Awesome.
it doesn't happen overnight. And so that's the thing I think I'm most passionate about. And I'm so thankful for the opportunity just to kind of put it all in front of your crew and ask and be here for any questions that people have, because
Yeah.
it's a contact sport, and those who get through this time and get to show folks an executed business plan like we plan on doing, it's going to set us up for success over the next 15 to 20 years, for the next 15 to 20 deals. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of where my heart's at on lead sponsorship 101, as we called it.
Lance, I love it, man, and you hit on so many great points, and I wanna definitely put a few things out there to drill down a little bit, because you really hit on so many things, from broker relationships to your passion for operations to the type of marketplace that we're in today, the strengths that you all have as Vidomi Capital. Like, those things are really important in how you guys are bringing your new unique abilities together to deliver for your investors. First, I want to kind of drill down a little bit um, into the market conditions. You mentioned not too long ago, you're in one of the best markets in the entire country, in the DFW market. Top 5 for sure, maybe top 2, depending
Yeah.
on who you ask. Tell us a little bit about the market conditions that you guys are experiencing down there. Where do you guys see things in terms of new construction that's coming online this year? But then what about the out years? What are you hearing and seeing from your research?
Yeah, and that's a great point. So, anytime, we have, market changes, like inflation, folks are getting laid off, their dollar's not going as far, and people are starting becoming very conservative with how they're spending their money. And so the thing that we saw in Dallas was we have C plus B minus properties. These are properties that, let's just, the average rent, depending on their unit, let's call it 1,300 a month, right? We definitely have some more. I think we're getting 1,485 on 5 or 6 units at reserve, but for the most part, let's just call it 1,300 a month. Well, in 2022, that was a deal. We were pushing rents. We were underwriting this thing like, we can get 1,450 that all day, which is the truth. We do get 1,450 on a couple of those units. However, as people start protecting their money, they start getting laid off more and more properties are going online with spaces to fill. The A class property then drops it down to 1,600. Well, the B class properties, you can come live here for 1,300. So the C class is going, I'm going to get out of my rent with Lance and Chris, because I can go live in a B class property right now for 1,350. And so what we had to deal with at the end of 23 towards and to now, early 24 is that absorption. Those new units are coming online. Everyone's running specials to get people to the new deal. People are able to live 5 miles closer to downtown Dallas for $300 or $400 cheaper than they could in 2022. So what we did, and you'll hear a lot of pundits, I mentioned it earlier, survive the 25. I like that, but I hate that. I like it because it isn't wrong, but I don't like it because it's also like negative. Like, no, we can fix this now. And one of the things that's super cool, and if you go to Vodomi Capital on Instagram at Vodomi Capital, I did a post where I'm actually standing in front of Retreat, but I put Reserve behind me because they're right across the street from each other. Both of those properties are right over 92% on the day I filmed that. We might have lost a lease at Reserve on Tuesday because of fraud. I can't remember, but it's back down to 90, 91 today. However, all of our comparables, all of our market surveys, which our third-party property manager does each week, all of our neighbors are at 72, 81, 68% occupancy. And so we've had to be very nimble because despite what the market is, we can still get people to live here. We have a great product. We've just had to make it a daily fight, and we've had to make sure we had daily traffic, and we've had to invest in lead sources and recruiting and referral sources that we hadn't typically had to rely on before. So we're doing great. I think the market's in a good spot. One thing about new construction, you can do your absorption analysis, and absorption is basically saying, if things are the environment hasn't been great for taking on new development. So because of that, everything that existed kind of towards the end of 2022, those projects finished, they became online. And then from there, nothing else new has been built. And so we are looking, that's what the Survive the 25 is because there's just nothing new hardly for the most part coming online in our demographic for the end of 24 and 25. And so, if you can get to 90% like we have by Q3 of 24, or even by the end of 24, we've done it a little ahead of schedule, and we'll have to keep battling that through the end of 24. But if you can get stabilized, you should stay stabilized because 2025 doesn't have a lot of new product coming online. The market is kind of fully adjusted to where, in fact, I think Retreat, we've even raised rents just a tad. We've definitely got rid of some of our promotions that we were doing to get people in the door because we can afford to right now. We can get picky and that's a good problem to have. But the market's strong here. Dallas Fort Worth is we're so insulated from the polar sides of the market, right? We're still very affordable. There's still companies moving into Dallas Fort Worth on a daily basis. There's still I think it's 265 people a day move to Dallas Fort Worth. And honestly, we're seeing the same thing in Oklahoma City. It's just a whole different market. So yeah, we're very, the market's trending up. If you can survive now, you're gonna be really good next year. That's what I'm telling everybody.
Great tips, great insights there. And actually, I wanted to build on something else that you mentioned, Lance, because obviously when we partnered initially, it was you and Adam as the apartment buying guys, and transitioning from the home buying guys, and now you're Vodomi Capital, and you talked about now you've joined forces. You guys are able to work together with your complementary skills and unique abilities. You've talked about Vodomi construction. I'd love for you to talk a little bit more about that coming together of you and Adam and Nate to to form Vodomi and to do some of the great things that you're doing. Maybe unpack that a little bit for us and talk a little bit about what you guys are excited about in the future.
Yep. So, Adam and Adam's been this way before there was an Adam and I. So it starts with Adam. He's a who, not how guy. It's, we all have the problem. We all have the goals and and it's like, how do I fix this? Or how do I get there? We replaced that with who gets us there. Who do I need to get me to this goal? And so, Adam saw that in me as we were best friends since 2010. And everything he was involved in, he would bring me with him. The first apartment complex we walked, I have a text message where I'm texting my wife, and she's like, why aren't you? I was a sales guy, very successful. I'd never worked on Fridays. We always went to the lake. And she's like, why are you still so far from home on a Friday? And I wrote back, Adam has us walking apartment complexes. And she goes, who's buying that? And her reply was, who's buying that? And I said, I don't know. I'm sure he is. But he was introducing me. He was walking me down a path I didn't even know about, because he knew he'd need to raise capital. So about a year before I was going to start raising capital, he was nurturing me as the who that was going to help him bring that money in, because that's what I do well. So we're who, not how guys. I think that's the biggest problem small business owners have, this keep themselves small, is one, they don't create systems and processes that allow things to be delegated. They become a slave to their own business or a slave to their own success. But I think also we get caught up in cashing checks out 100% or 50% or 1/3. Well, we would rather cash $100 million check 3 ways than $1 million check, one way or 2 ways. And right. So when Adam and I came together as apartment buying guys, we did our first 3 acquisitions. All these 3 we did just on our own. Now, coincidentally, Nate was involved in all of them. He bought into them as an LP. He helped raise capital and earn some GP. And actually there was a funny story where one time we were best in final with Nate. 2 best in finals. Nate's the one group. Me and Adam are the other. Well, he doesn't have the relationship that I do with the broker. So the broker calls me. He's like, "You're not going to believe this. Your main competition just used you as a reference for the best in final." And so I would end up telling him a few months later, and I didn't want to. I felt like I was going to cheapen it a little bit if I don't want to bust his bubble, But as we started looking at doing things, we just were like, we can do more together. Nate's specialty. What Nate wants to be doing every day is he wants to send super chat GPT style emails to all these big pref equity groups. He wants to wear like an 8-piece suit and go sit in front of family offices. That's what he wants to do. And you know what? He's really dang good at it. And we have a lot of momentum in the family office preferred equity space if they'll ever start writing checks again, because of what Nate brings to the table. Right. What I bring to the table is I know the plumber who's bought and sold, or who has scaled and sold 10 companies, and he looks like he doesn't have a dime to his name, and he's got 3 million liquid. I know that guy, and so, my background's construction sales, and then Adam pieces it together. He's more of our CEO operations. He's the one that will really drill down the financials, and is always kind of scaling and putting the processes in place. So together we've got systems, processes, CEO. We've got me bringing in that $50,000 to $250,000 check 3 or 4 times a month, and then we've got Nate spending his full 40 to 60 hours a week on the $5 to $10 million checks. Well, to us, we came together. We're like, dude, this is a real business. Like, let's go, And so that's kind of where, that's kind of how we are. It's who, not how. It's we can do more together. It's basically the spirit of syndication. In a nutshell, and then, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So, and then finally, Vodomi Construction was something that was built out of necessity. When Adam and I have flipped over 65 homes in the last 8 years. Well, we have the crews, we have the guys, we have the expertise. We know we have the software, we have all of that. But when we were taking on our first value add project, there's companies that all of these masterminds, they're trying to sell you their CapEx management fee, their CapEx core, that's their core competence, what they do, bring them in, they'll do all that. And that's great. We felt like we could do that, but we're like, hey, we're new to this. Like, last thing, we've got to really prove ourselves. So let's hire somebody else out that's the expert on CapEx. Let's let them do that, and we'll focus on learning operations and raising this capital. Well, about a year into each property, we fired everyone, and they couldn't get it right. Their budgets weren't on. They couldn't quote a project right. They couldn't get the the job done for X amount at the right time. And we started looking in the mirror going, well, if they're going to mess up, I mean, heck, I don't think we'll mess up, but if someone's going to mess up, it should be us. Let us learn from this. And so that's where Vodomy Construction started, was managing the CapEx on all 3 of our properties. We do not take a CapEx fee on these because we are still learning earning our marks and earning the track record to really show investors and general partners of, hey, you can trust Vodomy to do this. Here's our track record here. We didn't have that. We didn't put that into the deal. And so, we're working for free on these 3 deals. But one of the things too that I think all business owners should be doing, especially in real estate, is, in a time where occupancy isn't a guarantee, in a time where cash flow isn't a guarantee right now. We're all dealing with a lot of struggles. As a business, Vodomy's had to really look at, how do we create more streams of income and not be so, reliant. Because the moment I pause distributions, which I have paused distributions on all 3 of my properties right now, 1 for a capital call, 2 just because occupancy wasn't there, and 3 because the property isn't stabilized yet and distributions aren't supposed to start yet. If those are paused, I'm not taking management fees. I'm not taking all the little fees that, we're working 40 to 60 hours a week on each property. Well, we're working for free. If our investors aren't getting paid, we're not getting paid. That's for sure. And so we've decided in the last 60 days to take Vodomy Construction outside of us. So we started quoting a couple jobs for other owner operators. We're starting to put ourselves out in front of other opportunities just to create those revenue streams for us. Because at the end of the day, Vodomy Construction we're a GC, and we can take a phone call, we can quote a project, we can get the contract there, we've got the insurance, we've got the expertise. So that's the future. We'd like to do about 500,000 in construction this year. We don't have that on the books yet, so that's one of the things tasked with me. But that's how we came together, the 3 of us, bringing our skill set together. It's been an amazing team. Nate has been a great checks and balances for Adam and I. Adam and I know each other so well, it almost hurts us sometimes. I know things he's interested in and doesn't want to do, and sometimes I protect him from those things a little too much, whereas he does me. And Nate doesn't know that, so he's like, Adam, why aren't you meeting us down for a cigar to talk to this investor? And in my head, I'm like, Adam doesn't even really like doing that, but when Adam gets there, he's like, I got to remember to do this stuff more. And I'm like, oh, thanks, right, Nate, for bringing that, keeping us all, working together. So he's been an amazing addition.
That's awesome. Well, look, I have questions that I ask all the guest speakers who come on to the show to answer, and you're no different, even though we're partners. So I want to give you the opportunity to answer some questions, and really, it's just an opportunity to have the listeners, the audience that are watching live, that will be watching the playback, learn a little bit more about you. So the first question that I have for you is, what is one of the best trips you have taken, and why?
Yeah, I just did it, and I did it when we closed Reserve, and I thought I would do it with my acquisition fee in my pocket, but we never paid that out because we were trying to finish the raise and do all those things. So I took my wife to Sayuli to Mexico. We've been married for 19 years this year, and we had never done a adults only trip. And every day we rented a car. It's supposedly a very dangerous place in Mexico. We stayed, it's an hour north of Puerto Vallarta. We rented a car. We felt safe the whole time. We stayed, our hotel is this sweet little speakeasy right above the store on this amazing, authentic square. This was no resort, nothing. This was real Mexico. And every day we woke up, I would Google secret beaches or private beaches in the jungle, the Nayarit jungle. And we would get in this little Volkswagen and we'd pack a picnic basket. We would find a place to get a drink and some food on the way there. And then we would hike in the jungle and then have this beach to ourselves. And so it was a lot of effort. I have a lot of friends that think we're crazy, but it was awesome. I mean, my wife and I we're very much in love. And so it was a very sexy trip. It was a very adventurous trip. It was just what the doctor ordered after 19 years of raising babies and not getting away as much as we should.
Oh, that's awesome, man. What an amazing trip. It sounds like a great one. And I'm gonna definitely pick that one. I do remember you talking a little bit about that trip, and I will definitely hit you up for some ideas on that to get out there
It was
myself.
cool.
And
And
so
I actually got it. I got another owner operator, Eric Nordstrom from Iron Ridge Capital. He's the one that told me about it. And we went, it was amazing.
awesome. What are you guys working on these days? That's real. You mentioned Vidomi Construction. If you that sounds like an exciting project, but maybe there's some other things that you guys are working on these days that you're excited to talk a little bit about.
Yeah, I mean, right now, our Oklahoma City project, which for the record, if you're not from the Fort Worth area, a lot of people don't realize Oklahoma City is only 2 hours north of Dallas, Fort Worth. So we work that market just like I'm an hour from Dallas. I'm 2 hours from Oklahoma City. We all drive. So Nate has a plane, so we can get there in 45 minutes in his little plane. So right now, our biggest thing is Oklahoma City. And it's a unique struggle we have. We took that property at 0% occupancy, negative 50,000 a month income. And we have, in 15 months, we just hit the positive NOI mark. So we just hit 14,000 in income. So that's about a swing of 64 grand. We brought on 65 units. We've put $2.6 million of construction into this property, really turned this property into just this amazing thing. However, we have 15 units left, and 12 of those units are heavily damaged from a fire before we bought the property. And so it's been a unique challenge because as we're trying to get through, we have about a $700,000 delta from what's left in the construction budget to what's needed in the construction budget to get these remaining units online. And we've done everything, and we've raced through it, but we really need some lending help. And so right now, our current biggest problem or thing we're working on is going back to that lender, going, "Hey, you're the only lender who understands how good we are at this, how much value we've created. We just had appraisal come back. The as-is appraisal value increased 1.5 million in just 13 months. So
Nice.
We're doing a great job. However, what we've learned is while we've done all of this, 65 units online, 65 families living there that were not living there, lenders still look at that like it's a distressed property, almost like it's still at 0% occupancy. And so it's a challenge navigating the financial landscape of being like 90% through the business plan,
Yeah.
And so that's the biggest thing we're working on. Obviously, we're trying to create systems and processes to find the next deal. We still walk 2 or 3 properties a month to stay relevant with brokers. I think that's one note everyone needs to make. Do not, what do they say? The fish don't jump in the boat. And so Nate and I are always engaging brokers. And then in addition, I've already talked about our construction company. So between finding the next opportunity, looking to see what pencils, we're not taking ourselves out of the market just because things are difficult right now. We think there's a lot of ground to be made up, but then also shoring up our OKC assets. So yeah.
Fantastic. Last 2 questions for you. So, you had a successful sales career, so many things going on, but then you pivoted obviously to real estate, and you and Adam and have had just a tremendous amount of success in real estate, and on that path, I always like to ask folks who come on, with that journey that you've been taking, what does financial freedom mean to you?
Yeah, that means to me, and I think it's going to change for me about every 5 years. I really do, because, I'll never forget the first year I made $300,000. I thought I would never need to make more money. There was nothing I couldn't afford. My dreams were so small. I'm living in a home now I built 3 years ago that I thought I would never live in, and so I've had a little bit of imposter syndrome living in this dream house, and now I've changed my dreams so much. I'm like, man, was I a small dreamer or what?
Hmm.
But my son is 17, my daughter's 14. For me, financial freedom in the next right now at this life season is about putting them in a spot in the next 10 years, 27, 24 years old, to guide them well, to whether that's law school, whether that's helping them learn a vocation, and then maybe that's something, that vocation, maybe I can help them scale that business. Maybe that's just a trip. Maybe that's but I think financial freedom for me is being able to kind of be the rich dad, to quote the Kiyosaki book, not how, but not saying if, but how can we make this plan? Whatever their dreams are, keeping that, keeping those dreams open, saying, okay, how can we get this done? What do we need to do? But also teaching them what it takes to get there. There's no shortcuts in this life. But lastly, I think for me, even through that's with my children, it's being able to work from anywhere in the world. I'm obsessed with living in some amazing beach town or some amazing ski town where it's just my wife and I, my miniature schnauzers, and like a ski pass or a couple beach chairs, So, but yeah, be able to work anywhere in the world, with who I want, when I want. I don't know, but man, I'm a hustler, dude. I want to know what Chris is doing. How can I get in on that? Like, I just want to be able to do what I want when I want from wherever I want in the world.
Love it. Love it. And the name of our show is Wealth Mindset and Real Estate Investing. And so, when on my journey, really, of learning about getting into the real estate space, and, learning about financial freedom. And I love that answer that you just shared. And, I also, started thinking about other things about mindset and the importance of mindset. You just talked about imposter syndrome, all the work that you put in, the success that you achieved, and you are still you have to remind yourself every day, more than likely, about the work that you put in. But can you tell me a little bit about what does having a wealth mindset mean to you?
Yeah, I love, I love bragging on Adam, because I wouldn't be if it wasn't for him. A lot of people, but specifically Adam, and he's got a great book called Life Pillars that everyone needs to read. We need to link that up, Chris. It's on Amazon, but that I mentioned it earlier. I used to get really worked up. Our single family business is really tough right now because evaluations aren't coming in right, and so there's times where we'll agree to purchase a property and we have to renegotiate, or very hard conversations in business, right? Whether that's firing someone on a property, or firing a property manager, or letting an investor know we're pausing distributions. And if you want the bigger problems you solve, the more money you're going to make. But the thing Adam says all the time is these are good problems to have. I'm like, what do you mean it's a good problem to have? This guy's ready to, jump through the phone. He's so disappointed in us. And he's like, yeah, but we don't have this problem if we don't own the property. We don't have this problem if we're not leveling up. We don't have this problem if we don't own the damn apartment complex. Like, think about that. Like, no one but 4 people as lead sponsors, when a weather storm comes through, there's 4 people in Dallas-Fort Worth that are worried if that tree fell on the apartment complex. And those 4 people are me, Adam, and our wives, and so, like, that's a good problem to have. So I think that's the wealth mindset is get to over have to. We get to solve this problem. We don't have to solve this problem.
Oh my God, that's so powerful. That is so powerful, man. We get to do this, and I share in that so much, because we all can feel sorry for ourselves, and so many things, and it's just great to be able to be exposed to those things, and just remind yourself that you get to do these things. So look, I know we're at the end of time here, but but I want to take this moment here, Lance, for you to maybe take a little moment to tell people who are live here today, who will be listening to the playback, how can they get in contact with you and the team at Vodomi if they want to learn more about your investment opportunities? Maybe they want to learn more about your construction management opportunities. We have a pretty wide distribution list, and our YouTube channel is getting more popular where people are able to come and listen to content. And we have a mix of active investors, passive investors. So there may be people that reach out, but tell us a little bit about how they can reach out to you guys to learn more.
Yes. Yeah, you kind of got choppy there. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay, good. So yeah, Vodomi Capital. So V is in Victor, E is in Echo, D is in Delta, O is in Oklahoma, M is in what is M? Mitchell, I is in Igloo. So Vodomi Capital, that is VE for Vins, DO for Doty, MI for Mitchell. So at Vodomi Capital on Facebook, on Instagram, vodomicapital.com. We're on the YouTubes. We do all the things. We're not your blowhard gurus. We're not geniuses at this. We're just really hard trying effort guys, and we try to put out content that our investors will love, and that we think documents some of the things we do really well. But we're just so thankful to be on this journey and to have these opportunities and to be linked up with guys like yourself, Chris. I mean, we stand on your shoulders and just, you're a great partner. You're doing awesome things. So guys, if you haven't reached out to Chris on some of the things he's presented to you quite yet, please do. If he's in a deal, I know it's a good deal because of how hard he worked to vet out our opportunities. I will tell you, Chris, and maybe you and I need to talk offline. I am looking to shore up $500,000 on that Oklahoma City project. We're a year in, and so it's not there's not a lot of forecasting left to do. I can show you real financials. I think it's something we should do an offline call on, see if some of your folks might be interested. We're doing really good there. So, but yeah, our goal is to bring 1 to 2 opportunities a year to our investors, and in this financial climate, we've had to make sure our house is in order first before we took another leap. But we've done that. We're on the backside of it. We're going to shore up Oklahoma City the next 3 weeks, and we're looking for a Q4 acquisition. So if you're a broker at Vodomi Capital, you can reach me, Lance at vodomicapital.com. But just super blessed to be on this journey and be on podcasts and get to tell you guys about things we're passionate about. And Chris, you're one of the day one homies, man. Thank you so much.
Oh, likewise, Lance. I appreciate it. Thank you for your time this evening, for sharing your journey and your passion, your energy is it just comes out, man. This is you were made for this, and I appreciate all the work that you guys are doing and the partnership that we have, and I look forward to doing it again soon. So with that, we'll wrap it up and we'll thank everybody and tell you to have a good night. Take care.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Good night, everybody. Thank you.